Hey guys, Catherine here. So, in this video, I unfortunately feel the need to talk about Maui. And I say unfortunately because I'm bummed that it's even a subject. It's, if you haven't already heard, I'm sure you already have, but there has been just a devastating fire in Maui, and at least 111 people have been killed, 1,000 people are missing, 3,000 animals are missing, and 2,500 acres have been burned. So it was a significant disaster, and apparently it's become the worst in U.S. national history. So it was pretty bad. And when I was watching this on the news, I my heart just broke. It is just completely devastating. I kind of take it a little personally, only because I just feel so connected to the Hawaiian Islands. I'm not from Hawaii, but gosh, I mean, every time I go there, I feel like I'm home. The energy there is so welcoming and it's so healing, and I've just had some incredible experiences there, along with, I'm sure, everyone else who goes to Hawaii. It's truly a paradise on this planet, and so it's really devastating to hear what has happened. And if you're like me, you probably feel helpless and small and don't know exactly what you can do to help, but I know you probably want to help. And so some of us I know don't have the means to send money or don't have the ability to just go there and to start help rebuilding. And so I was trying to just meditate and think of some ways that, people without, the ability to donate and things like that, like what can we do to help Maui in this time? And so just got a couple of downloads, and again, these are just from me personally, so if it doesn't resonate, that's totally okay. I'm good with it. But I've I feel like I have found a couple of ways that we can energetically help Maui in this time. And what I mean by energetically helping Maui, I feel like right now in this day and age, what we do energetically is extremely important because everything is made up of energy. And if we can just start with the energy itself, then eventually it will start to manifest into a physical reality. And so just doing some work privately, if all of us kind of do some energetic work, then it will help. So, first way that we can help Maui is by understanding the Hawaiian history. Okay? This is a pretty big one. So, the first time I went to Oahu, this was like pre-awakening. Okay? So, I've divided my life into pre-spiritual awakening and post-spiritual awakening. So, pre-spiritual awakening, I went to Oahu and I was in my early 20s, and it was just a standard, young adult vacation, right? Went out to eat, partied, went to the beach, did some tours, did some hikes. It was fun, but it was just, that's all it was just a vacation. Okay. The second time I go to Oahu, it's after my spiritual awakening, and I had a completely different experience. The second I got onto those islands, I could feel them speaking to me. This was probably the first time I realized that not only did I have this ability to actually connect with places and connect with land, but it was the first time that I realized that places like islands had a consciousness. And these islands really were speaking to me. The waterfalls were speaking to me, the trees. I mean, it was just one spiritual experience after another. And I think that's why, Hawaii is just so near and dear to my heart, because it really helped me gain a little bit more confidence in that ability. And so I'm on Oahu, and there's one particular day that I remember. So our first stop on this one day was to go to Waimea Falls. I was with my partner at the time, and we go to these falls, and it's beautiful. And there's a bunch of people playing in the water, and the whole time I couldn't help but feel like the waterfall had like a grandmother energy, and she just loved families playing in her waterfall. And she specifically really loved the sound of children's laughter. She just was really welcoming. But that wasn't anything new to Hawaii. But I just remember feeling like a grandmother energy coming from that waterfall. It was incredibly beautiful. So later on that day, after we leave Waimea Falls, we go to the Dole Plantation. Now, I had been to the Dole Plantation before during my first trip, and I don't have anything in particular that I remember or that I liked or disliked. It was just another touristy place that I went to. And so, since my partner hadn't gone, we were going to go to the Dole Plantation. So we go there, and the second I stepped foot on that property, I immediately didn't like it. I could not tell you why. I just didn't like it. And the words that kept coming up in my head were tainted. Like it felt like tainted energy. It was weird. And so, we're just walking around looking at all the things, and I'm just kind of irritated. And like when this happens to me and I'm on vacation with like a group of people, my friends or whoever, I don't talk about it. I don't bring it up because I'm not trying to be the party pooper that's like, oh, this place has got bad energy. Like, I'm not trying to do all that. But, I can't help but feel that energy anyway. So I just keep it to myself, whatever. We're going through it, and he wants to get Dole Whip, right? That's what you do. You go to the Dole Plantation, you get Dole Whip, okay? We go get the Dole Whip, and I took 2 bites, and I couldn't finish it. I had to give it to him. Didn't like it. Didn't taste good to me. It tasted like really just artificially sweetened. I couldn't do it. It was weird. So, okay, whatever. He finishes both of the Dole Whips, and we get in line to go on the train because there's like this little train that goes around the property so you can take a look at all the fruit and all the things that are growing. So we're standing in line to get on the train, and I get fed up with myself at this point. I'm irritated that I'm irritated. So I quietly ask, all right, universe, tell me, what's the deal? What's my problem? Why don't I like this place? And the word slavery came across my head. And I was like, no, it wasn't that kind of plantation, was it? So I quickly get on my phone and I start doing some research. And let me just share with you what I've learned. So in 1820, American missionaries came over to the Hawaiian Islands, which some of them referred to them as the Sandwich Islands. So they came over to the Hawaiian Islands, and obviously they fell in love. Like, who doesn't? And they just started taking all of the land and building plantations. All right. And so the Hawaiian monarchy that was already there, they were fairly welcoming. They just kind of, they were willing to work with them. And they even appointed some of them into governmental roles. And by doing this, they helped establish the Hawaiian Kingdom as its own separate independent state. Fast forward to 1887, a missionary group gathered together, and they forced the Hawaiian king, King Kawakaua, I think, they forced him to sign new legislation at gunpoint that would relinquish a lot of the Hawaiian people's rights, a lot of their rights to the land, to vote, and it diminished the power of the monarchy. This constitution now was known as the Bayonet Constitution because when these missionaries forced him at gunpoint, they used bayonet guns, which are the rifles that have the knives at the very tips. Then in 1891, the king died and his sister took the throne. This is Queen Liliuokalani. And with her strong spirit, she decided that she was going to fight. And she ended up writing a brand new constitution that was going to give the Hawaiian people back their rights. And the word got out. And before she can even introduce this new constitution, a new missionary party decided to form a coup, is what it's called. Basically, they overthrew the monarchy. They overthrew the queen and put her in her own home and put her in house arrest. And they basically declared that these missionaries now were going to be the leaders of the Hawaiian Kingdom. And can you guess who was the leader of this overthrow? Sanford Dole, the cousin of James Dole, who owns the Dole Food Company. He actually appointed himself as the president of the Republic of Hawaii. During this time, the Hawaiians were losing all of their land to these plantations. They didn't have any way of getting food because that's how they got their food, was from the land. So they had no choice but to work for these plantations. They say that they received a salary, but I'm pretty sure it was just pennies. It was an unlivable wage. So it was basically slavery. So this is the energy that I picked up when I went to the Dole Plantation. Now, I always question my abilities. Sometimes I don't think that what I'm picking up is the real deal, just because these abilities are new. I've had them for 6 years, so it's still new. I'm not one of those people that saw ghosts as a child. Like, this is just, I went through an awakening and now weird shit happens. And so, of course, I had to look into it, and this is what I found. Even still, then, I questioned whether or not I was really picking up on this. So I decided to ask some local Hawaiians. Like, I had my partner come with me to ask some of the locals. And I would just ask them, like, hey, what do you guys think of the Dole plantation? And all of them, they just think it's a disgrace because of what happened. So that just confirmed everything. So fast forward to 1993. The US Congress actually puts out a statement, which is an acknowledgement and apology. This is 100 years after Hawaii was taken. Okay, and this is what they said. On the occasion of the 100th anniversary of the illegal overthrow of the Kingdom of Hawaii on January 17, 1893, acknowledges the historical significance of this event, which resulted in the suppression of the inherent sovereignty of the native Hawaiian people. Keyword, illegal. Hawaii was taken illegally. Then we go to 1999. A man by the name of Lance Larson gets pulled over by the police in Hawaii, US police, for not having a license plate. And he argues that they have no jurisdiction because he lives in the Hawaiian Kingdom, which is an independent entity. So they end up putting him in jail, and he takes the Hawaiian Kingdom to court. This case went to the Permanent Court of Arbitration at The Hague, Netherlands. This court is a non-UN intergovernmental organization that resolves international cases of territory boundaries, human rights, and international trade. In this case, they couldn't figure out who was in the wrong and who would take responsibility because the case turned into whether or not Hawaii was an independent state and really if the US had any jurisdiction ruling over the Hawaiian people. And in this case, the United States weren't present. And so they ruled in the favor of Hawaii and stated that, like internationally, this is internationally recognized, that Hawaii is an independent state, not a united one. So that means currently, to this day, Hawaii is illegally occupied by the United States. What? I mean, I'm not exactly surprised, given how we just take everything anyway, but what? So currently, right now, we just have it illegally. So it just gives you something to think about. It definitely opened my eyes to a lot of things, and now I very much understand a lot of their frustrations. Okay, so one way that we can help Maui is to understand the history. And I'll link a couple of videos for you guys to watch because it basically talks about how some very wealthy people have been trying to use, legal loopholes to try to take more land, and it's pretty bad. The second way that we can possibly help Maui energetically is to strongly consider the possibility that these fires were not an accident, that this was probably a planned attack. Isn't it a little strange how these fires are in very particular places, like very wealthy places? Lahaina, that real estate is worth billions of dollars, but a lot of it is owned by the Hawaiian people. And they're not selling their properties. They're not selling their land. Why? Because we've kind of taken a lot from them already. So naturally, they just want to keep what's theirs. And these fires, they look a little strange, don't they? Doesn't it? They look very similar to the fires in Paradise, California, where it looks like just the houses are incinerated. The cars are melted into the streets, but trees are still standing. There are particular homes that are still standing, like they're just not touched at all, even though everything around them is just gone. It's very strange. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And at this point, anytime anything major happens that doesn't make sense, it's probably because it was purposefully done. And they're just trying to tell us, they're trying to give us a different narrative. I mean, they didn't even sound off the sirens that they have on those islands. They have a siren And on the government website, it says that that siren is used for tsunamis, floods, and wildfires. But those sirens never went off. And the Hawaiian people find everything to be super suspicious, as if it were a planned attack. People reported that the military weren't allowing people to go through with supplies, that there were no US government officials on the ground helping people try to escape. Instead, it was just locals getting on their boats and coming around to the people to try to get them off, to give them water, to give them clothes, whatever they needed. I mean, it's just one of those events in history now where you just look at it and you're like, how? So, just consider that this may have been planned. And I don't even want to get into this whole summit that was held months before about turning Maui into a smart city or whatever. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. Another way that we can help Maui, and this is more indirect, but is to ask yourself why you're here during this time. Why are we here? Why is everything just going to shit? And why do people think that World War III is coming? Like, why are people, losing their minds, right? Like, why is all of this happening and why are we here? I don't believe in coincidences. And so I don't think it's a coincidence that we're here witnessing this. This is, it's kind of apocalyptic if you think about it. So why are you here? I think you're here because we are in the middle of a spiritual war. Like, it's going down. It's been going down, but especially since 2020, it's pretty obvious that there is a war happening. We're not waiting for World War III. It's here, and it's an energetic war. It's a spiritual war. So if the war is happening, maybe it's time you pick a side, right? Instead of feeling helpless, I know a lot of people don't want to look into these conspiracy theories because it freaks them out, it scares them, it makes them feel small, it makes them feel helpless. But just looking at it is half of the battle, because these things really are happening and our people are being attacked. There is a spiritual war happening. And so you have to choose a side. We can't afford anybody to sit on the sidelines anymore. We don't have time. We're running out of time. It doesn't help anybody for you to feel disempowered, like you can't do anything, because you can, because this is an energetic, spiritual war. Okay? Sure, things are going to happen in the physical world like they are in Maui. Yes, this is true. But we have to fight it on a spiritual level, which means that you now, today, can choose a side of how you're going to fight, who you're going to fight, what you're going to fight for. If you decide to pick the side that just, takes advantage of people, it's self-serving, and you take whatever you want, then you probably wouldn't even be watching this, right? And there are going to be those people. There is a darker side. I get it. We're going to have to coexist regardless, okay? But if you're fighting on the same side that I'm fighting on, which is for unity and sovereignty and love and freedom, then we need to start doing the work. And that work is going to look like healing. It's going to look like working on ourselves, doing the inner work, right? If you've got addictions, if you've got traumas, you got to start healing them now, because we need our warriors. We need our warriors in this war. We're running out of time. People are dying. It's the sad truth. But these things are going to keep happening until you wake up. You wake up, you pick a side, and you start fighting. And you fight by healing yourself. You heal yourself, other people around you start to heal. Then we start to build a community, and we start to help each other. Humanity is counting on us right now. That's probably going to be the hardest one, is doing that inner work. Now you got to take responsibility of yourself. I have all the empathy in the world for people who are struggling. I truly do. I understand what it is or how it feels to have anxiety, depression, addictions, feeling suicidal. I get it. I have been there. It takes one to know one. Trust me. But I fought it, and I'm on the other side now. And I am a warrior. I've become a warrior of light. And there are many warriors out there with me watching this, spreading the word of what is happening. We're not scared anymore. There's nothing to be scared of because they're using that fear against us. They're weaponizing our fear. You heal your traumas and everything, that fear goes away. Because if you can conquer that, you can conquer anything. And of course, last but certainly not least, send Maui your love. Every day I take 15 minutes to meditate. I'll either meditate or I'll give myself some energy work or whatever. But in times like these, I take that 15 minutes and I send it to where it needs it. Right now I'm doing it with Maui. I send healing energy. I just envision the trees growing back, the people building their homes, their own homes, them feeling safe, right? Just the island healing itself. Because where attention goes, energy flows. And I know that if I think it, I can think it into reality because that's real. That's manifestation. And if all of us can do that, it just magnifies. This is why witches have a coven, because they know they're powerful in a group. But we don't have to be witches, okay? We can just be people with a good intention for healing the people, healing Maui. And at this point, we can prepare. If you're not prepared for war, it's time to start preparing. It's time that we protect ourselves and we protect our community, and we have to protect Maui. So I know that this was a little heated. I'm sorry, I'm very passionate about this, but I just love Maui. And I love you guys. I love our people. I love humanity. And it's time. They're really trying to push us around, and we can't let it happen anymore. So, all right, guys. Till next time. Love you.